Usually all the old faithfuls are here.
That's right. Huh? What do they say? There's three things that you'd always count on, right? It's death, taxes, Michelle, and Bill.
That's it.
That makes you four, Bill.
I was combining us. Okay. All right. That being said, we got thumbs up? Oh, look, we got thumbs ups from Tom. That's great. So, folks, let's stand. And please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for just a moment. Heavenly Father, bless this assemblage. Grant us the wisdom to make our every decision fair-minded in the best interest for all its residents. And please keep in our prayers the Terenzi and Didden families. Let's also pray and hope for a speedy recovery for Councilman Nioris. And then in this holiday season, in the new year, our first responders and our military.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Okay. That being said, Hope will call the roll. Well, I guess you...
Yeah, you can go along.
Yep.
Okay. The meeting for December 20th, 2011 is now open. Gelfarb, Nioris, Villanova,
Here.
Carvin, Mendicino.
Here.
All right, very good. So this is the public hearing
On the budget.
for the budget. So would anybody here like to speak on the budget?
Motion to reopen the budget, the public hearing. Do we ever close it? No.
No.
Never mind.
We're good.
He didn't close it, no.
Perfect.
All right. No one? All right, very good. That being said, we'll forego the approval of the minutes.
Can I just, if I may, Mr.
Yes.
Supervisor, I just wanted to note that tonight that the Supervisor Carvin is appearing in real time via Skype, as you can see. He is in London, England, and we've made arrangements with Dave Thomas that he will participate in the meeting, and as he can hear everything we're doing, and we can hear everything he's doing, and he will participate via Skype in real time. Just want to note that for the record.
Very good.
Thank you.
I thought that was kind of obvious, seeing Joe on the big screen.
Well, the minutes will reflect that. He's Skyped in.
Okay. That being said, we'll go into the departmental reports. And, we didn't turn that on, Hope? Okay. Good thing we got the camera running.
Right.
I think with Deputy Supervisor Villanova running to the next meeting, we may be finished before Gelfarb gets there.
Yeah.
Well, we may have to take a recess.
Yeah, we'll take a recess. That's fine. Okay. So, Hope, we'll go into the town clerk's report.
Well, first we'll do the approval. Oh, we can't approve the minutes yet.
Correct.
Okay. Town clerk's report for the month of November 2011. Total local shares remitted to the supervisor, $1,599.85, compared to last November 2010, $1,492.90. Tax collections for November 2011. Deposit to the supervisor of the town of Rye, $728,208.19. Deposited to the treasurer of the village of Portchester, $91,695.13. Deposited to the treasurer of the village of Rye Brook, $6,242.42, a total of $826,145.74. And Crawford Park, Mr. Nowotnik.
We don't have a financial report for Crawford Park for the month of November, but you will get one for year-end. We do want to point out a couple of things. We've completed the hiring of the three, what we call temporary, I'll call them event coordinators, park attendants. And they are Santos Arroyo, Hippolito Cancel, and Robert Lamarzi. In addition, and we'll give you samples, we've initiated the checklist, if you will, the event checklist, which now requires both the attendant on site as well as the party host to go through, check off about 10 different categories, checking the kitchen, the cleanliness of the oven, the refrigerators, the glass, the walls, etc., both before the party and also after the party. So we've actually started it. It seems to work well, and we think it's going to be a great addition. And then the only other thing for public consumption primarily is a few weeks ago we were able to have all of the Rye-Town Council tour the mansion and get better clarification in terms of the stairwell that we were talking about building, the second form of egress. The architect was there, and I hope we answered all your questions. We are now at the stage of trying to get a better, sharper price, as well as some sort of a schedule in terms of how this could proceed. And we're trying to get her to get the actual bid documents together. So that's the status of that. Hopefully we'll have something at the January meeting.
Very good. And when we get that information, like we discussed in the past, I don't know where to look to Joe. Joe, you see us or no?
Yeah, I see, absolutely.
Okay, very good. So, so that being said, and with direction from the supervisor, that when we get this all together, that we're going to obviously still review that with the Crawford family and make sure that we have support all the way around, so we're making the best decision possible for the use of that facility.
Absolutely. Nothing goes forward until everybody's on the same page.
Great.
Bishop, did you place the ad for the caretaker?
Oh, the caretaker ad, yes, the caretaker ad was run. We ran it in the Westmore News. We ran it in the Rye Sound and Town Report, and we ran it in the Journal News. As of right now, we're a little bit disappointed in the response. We basically have about 4 or 5 responses so far. Our feeling was that we should have gotten more, but we didn't run the ad for very long. We ran it for basically one insertion of 1 week, one issue. It's possible we may want to rerun it since we have a little bit of time to do it, to just see if we can broaden the net.
You also ran it around the holiday season. People are away, and so I think it's a good idea to run it again.
If you want, what we can do is we can try and schedule it to run, right after the first of the year, so it runs in the first issue in January after the new year, and then at that point, hopefully, we should have enough resumes for the council to start interviewing.
That sounds great. Post it on the website as well.
Okay.
But keep the ones that you already have.
Oh, of course, absolutely.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments from the public? Okay, second round. Very good. We're going to forego any of the resolutions, and we'll go to the report from the assessor.
Nothing to report.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. I think it's important.
You can approve the minutes too. I think.
Actually, Mitch,
You can approve the minutes.
Yeah.
sorry, could you just go up for a second?
I mean, you can challenge them in. That's what-
I have some, I want to discuss the next meeting.
Okay.
Just go up to the podium. Yeah. No, just go up to the podium. I just want, basically, Mitch, I wonder if you could just, last town meeting, we talked about Home Depot. If you could just let people know what we've done since the last meeting about Home Depot.
Okay. Since the last meeting, the town has taken a what I'll describe as a rather aggressive stance. We've contacted with the supervisor, myself. We've contacted the Home Depot corporate offices, had a rather interesting discussion with their people in charge of tax certiorari. They suggested to us we submit to them an email explaining our position, and that was sent to the corporate offices today, signed by Supervisor Carvin under, I guess, my cover, the best way to describe it. And essentially we told Home Depot we thought they were not being a reasonable and good corporate citizen, and explained to them the reasons why, which included the fact that in 2003, Home Depot reached a settlement with the town and the village at a value of approximately $22 million. The following year, Home Depot filed a certiorari in violation of Section 727 of New York State Real Property Tax Law, followed by consistent complaints each and every year. The first few years, they received requests from the Board of Assessment Review for additional information. They essentially ignored us. In 2008, with the passage of the I&E law, we received limited and incomplete information, and we made that point to Home Depot in an email today, and I guess the answer is we're awaiting some sort of response or reaction.
Anything else?
Just to be clear, this is an important issue, obviously, because it represents 4 years of effort. And we're making clear to the people at Home Depot corporate headquarters that they're acting outside of town law, in that they did not give us, because you mentioned 2008, but they haven't given us anything in 2009 or 2010, did they?
Same thing, same kind of response, where there was
insufficient information.
Correct.
So we made it clear to the corporate people at Home Depot that, that we're 100% lead optimistic, that if we got the valuation wrong, we want to know it. But for them to come in and represent that, they're giving us a bona fide application at 20% of the value is being a bad actor. And we explained to them that not only do they come in at 20% of the value, they also refuse to give us information. And again, they were outside the law when they applied for a certiorari in 2004, having just settled the year before. And I think the other important point is, Mitch, what's happened to property value since they agreed to $22 million valuation?
Well, I would suggest that property values from 2002, 2003 skyrocketed through 2008 and then declined since that point in time. And that's essentially our actual assessments are more modest than those trends. Our assessment did go up modestly during that time period and came down just as much. Most years they are complaining their assessment is $22 to $23 million. 3, 4, 5 years later, after we had settled at a $22 million number.
Where am I at?
So,
and they're maintaining the value of the property is $4 million, I think, correct?
That's what they have said.
And I think the supervisor's offered to buy the property for $4 million outright.
I do believe he made that offer.
and so, we're going to move forward this year with our Shame on You webpage. And I want to make absolutely certain that Home Depot was aware of the fact that if they didn't come forward with the bona fide evaluation that we were going to have crashing out. I don't think my sense of the conversation was corporate headquarters was unaware of the fact that they were a bad actor. We're hoping that they're going to rectify the situation. And Mitch, would you do me a favor? Let's get them all back on the phone. I'm back in New York tomorrow afternoon. Let's get them back on the phone tomorrow afternoon. You can come that they received the email and see what they're intending to do.
Okay, what time?
2:30.
Okay.
Beautiful. Yes, question from the public?
Yes, Dick.
Dick Hubert from Durrell Green's Supervisor Carvin and members of the board. I just want to let you know in connection with the Home Depot issue that the Home Depot's lead competitor, Lowe's, was in the news today. They're on the receiving end of a massive boycott that's being organized all across the country because they pulled their sponsorship from a show on a reasonably obscure cable channel called Muslims in America because one group objected to that. And I bring this up only because if Lowe's is in trouble for sponsoring a show on an obscure cable channel, it would seem to me that Home Depot would be in trouble for trying to obfuscate its tax obligation to a legitimate town in the county of Westchester, New York State. And I think that publicity is probably your best weapon, Mr. Supervisor, should you want to exercise it, and I'll be happy to help you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for your offer of support, Mr. Huber. I think, we made it very clear that 60% of our taxes go to our schools, and any attempt to undermine their true tax liability has a horrific impact on our school children. We made it very clear to Home Depot that effectively, if they were to continue with this effort to undermine their tax liability, it would have a horrifically negative impact on our school children.
Mitch, is it okay if Mitch goes over the certiorari that are we going to be voting on later, so that the public will have that information, so that we don't have to hold them up later on?
Absolutely.
No.
Be happy to.
Great idea, Michelle.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Moving right along. Okay, the actually there are 3 resolutions in front of the town board. I guess I'll start with C, because C is the Home Depot resolution.
Okay.
Okay, since we're talking Home Depot. But, no, I'm sorry, I don't even have the resolution. What is C?
Here is the
Signature flight?
Oh, that was with Mark Stewart.
Signature flight. All right, I'll go back to A. Now that I have all the resolution. The first, Resolution A and Resolution B are both resolutions to assign attorneys to represent the town in certiorari proceedings. The first resolution is to designate Jeff Binder in accordance with the previous tax certiorari agreement, retainer agreement dated April 2008, to designate Mr. Binder to represent the town in connection with Portchester Gas versus the town of Rye.
But Mitchell, I'll stop you there. What's the address of Portchester Gas?
230 Boston Post Road. It is the BP station on Boston Post Road, corner with William Street.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. They have represented, their assessment ranges from approximately $1.2 million to $1.1 million. They have represented their value as being somewhere between $675,000 to $585,000.
There's another deal for you, Joe.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Okay, well, that's the one who is most realistic in the claim. So I'll move on to Mobil, which is sort of an interesting one. ExxonMobil versus the town of Rye. This is a former gas station on the Boston Post Road in Mamaroneck. Our 2007 assessment was $1.4 million. Their claimed value was $4,000.
We're talking about the gas station that was on the corner of Barry Avenue?
Yeah.
Yes, the one demolished.
Yeah.
The following year, it was demolished.
I can afford that one. I'll take that. Move over, Joe.
I think that's a record, $4,000. That's not even 1% of value.
No, I don't know where that number came from. The following year, their assessment was reduced substantially to reflect the demolition of the gas station. It was reduced to $600,000 in 2008. They then claimed it was worth $400,000. Followed by 2009, where the assessment remained at $600,000, and their claim was that the property was worth $60,000. These are the kind of claims that make their way in front of the town. I don't know how to explain.
Can I ask a question on that, Mitch?
Yeah.
I don't understand one thing. We went from obviously in your view from 1.4 to 600.
Correct.
But why would they buy the gas station with the view towards destroying the value? How much did they pay for the gas station?
The gas station was demolished by ExxonMobil due to a cleanup problem. Okay? All right?
Okay. Yeah, I got it.
But in the course of this period, they also sold the vacant land after the cleanup, and it was approximately our assessment, interestingly enough.
Okay.
Moving on to Citibank versus the town of Rye. That's the Citibank office, the Citibank branch in Mamaroneck.
That's the one that's on the opposite corner of Barry Avenue.
I believe the answer is yes.
Okay.
In the case of Citibank, they've made a claim at 10% of their assessed value each and every year. We had a value of approximately $1.1 million. They claimed it was worth $113,000. Fairly typical.
Is Citibank one of our depositories? No. Okay.
Come on, Dave, jump in there.
Okay. Moving on to Resolution B, which is the designation of Aldo Vitagliano to represent the town in 3 additional certiorari matters. The first matter is Longview Owners at 315, 325 King Street. As everybody is aware, that's a very large cooperative complex. In 2007, their assessment was $17.6 million. Their claimed value was $1.8 million. In 2008, their assessment was additionally set the same, $17.6 million. And their claimed value was $1.76 million, precisely 10%.
Mitch, on that, are these people, this Longview Owners, are they providing financial documents supporting their claim?
Well, to answer you very directly, I'm uncertain, but it is a cooperative which has no income. Okay?
Understood.
So all they would be reporting to us is the expenses.
The expenses, they have no income, but you do have a history, an inventory of what these units are valued at.
Yes, and I can say to you honestly, we settled this one up something similar to these assessments in 2005, if I'm not mistaken.
What was that value?
I don't recall off the top of my head, but it was very similar.
All right.
Okay. Moving on to Washington Park Plaza versus the town of Rye.
Is this the Food Emporium?
This is the Food Emporium Shopping Center.
Okay.
What used to be the Frank Steak and is now the Burger
Westchester
Burgers, and then it has a strip of retail stores. It also has the bank branch there as well.
Right.
This property is comprised of multiple parcels because A, the entire property is split by the Village of Portchester, Village of Rybrook municipal line, and then B, I guess my predecessor split it into multiple parcels for reasons that are not completely clear to me, but that's the way they've been forever. Okay. So there are, I believe, 5 parcels. One is the restaurant, one is the bank, one is the retail stores, and then another one is a portion of the Food Emporium. And then there's a final parcel that is land in the back that's parking that, if memory serves me, formerly belonged to the church on South Regent Street.
There's an easement there as well along the right side, correct? That goes up? Anyway, it doesn't make a difference, right?
Okay. So in the case of Washington Park Plaza, the aggregate assessment is in the vicinity of $15 or $16 million for all the parcels. Essentially, the claim is at 10% of value for each and every parcel. Just to give you an example, I don't know which one this is in particular. I believe this is Food Emporium. It's at $5.175 million each and every year. Their claimed value for 2 out of the 3 years is $517,500, precisely 10%. In the case of one of the other parcels, which has a value of $900,000 for all the years in question, their claimed value is precisely 10%, $90,000. Similarly, the third parcel has a value ranging from typically $1.2 million. In 2004, it was $1.2 million. Their claim was $120,000. In 2006, it was $1.4 million. Claimed value, $140,000. I'm sure you do. And so on and so forth. The final case that's being assigned to Mr. Vitaglio is Sunoco versus the town of Rye. This is the Sunoco station on Boston Post Road, abutting what was formerly Bally's, which is about to be LA Fitness. It's a substantial gas station with a retail store as well as additional rental parking up on a hill to the rear. Okay. And similarly, the pattern is very typically 10%. In 2004, their assessment was $1.5 million. Their claimed value was $150,000. For some reason, not obvious to myself, in 2007, Their assessment was $1.625 million, and their claimed value suddenly jumped to $500,000. And that pattern of claim value of $500,000 continued, despite the assessment remaining steady or going down.
Okay.
So that's sort of the story in a nutshell in all those cases.
And are these, let's just say the gas stations here, are they providing financial documents to you?
I will describe as they're providing incomplete documents, some of which is not their fault, some of which clearly is. Okay, at one point they had tenants in the back renting the space. They pretended like nobody paid rent. The gas station, I believe, is owner-run, owner-occupied. It's difficult for them to provide a rental. Okay, in fairness to them.
Okay.
Thank you, Mitchell.
And then C.
Very well. Resolution C, I will...
Signature flight.
Signature flight. This is sort of, I'll let perhaps Town Council Noto talk about it, but it is involving a case in which Signature Flight is an operator of, I believe it is 4 hangars at Westchester County Airport. They lease the hangars from Westchester County Airport. They then in turn provide services to planes. They lease hangar space. They do all sorts of things. We're still trying to define precisely what it is and what the uses are and what's going on. But Signature Flight is essentially said to us, we should be tax exempt. Even though we're a profit-making corporation, we deserve a tax exemption. So we're having a discussion with them about that request. And
based on what?
There is a case not too long ago called Panorama versus the town of Harrison in front of Judge LaCava, where a similar entity sought a tax exemption on the grounds that they're a lessee of the county, which this company is. They lease the hangar from Westchester County at the airport. And the issue is they claim that they provide a public service, and therefore, because they are essentially doing a public service and it's a public facility, they're entitled to a tax exemption because they're on municipal property, not unlike the same claim we make with Wrightown Park, that we are a public facility and therefore should be tax exempt.
No, wait. Sorry, I apologize.
Well, let me finish before you... Can I finish?
Sorry, apologize.
Okay.
Attorney Noto.
Yeah.
I don't see how I have to apologize, but the analogy between a private sector group being a lessee and Wrightown Park, it seems to me not a correct analogy.
Well, just so you know, the assessor in the city of Rye used the Panorama case as a justification for lifting the exemption on Seaside Johnny's.
We know that case already, as you both know. That case in the town of City of Rye is nonsense.
Well,
you're vigorously defending.
I am. I'm hopeful that the judge would see it that way. But just so you know, with Signature Flight, they've essentially made the identical claim as the tenant did in the Panorama case, which is we are doing the same thing. And in that case, the judge ruled that they were entitled to a tax exemption. So,
I don't understand. If Joe Carvin were to lease the land, the property from Westchester County, and I run a for-profit business, I would be eligible for an exemption.
Depends. Yes. If you did that, and anybody. Like if Michelle Mendicino off the street wanted to take her private plane and lease it in your hangar, and you let her do that, then you're providing a public service because Michelle couldn't go anywhere else, then you might be entitled to the exemption, yeah. So it's
insanity.
Well, it's not...
Is the Westchester County property parkland?
No, it's the airport, no.
Well, so it's still
Lost for words.
I didn't know.
All right, so
unless the goal of Judge LaCava is to dramatically reduce taxes and have everybody follow suit, it seems to me setting an absolutely horrific precedent here.
Well, the case held up, and Panorama is now, something that those of us who practice in this field, when you say, this is like Panorama, everybody knows what you're talking about. And just to give you a follow-up, the attorneys for the plaintiff have filed a cert claim. We denied their claim, of course, and the county did as well. Now, they filed a cert. We've assigned Mark Toulis. We've had a conference call this afternoon with their attorneys, and we've agreed that we'd like some discovery from them, meaning we'd like information from them about how many hangars and exactly we wanted floor plans of the hangars to see to what extent they're being utilized for public use and for private use. So I suspect that we're going to be in a situation similar to Panorama where they'll make a motion, which we'll fight, and we'll oppose, obviously, but it's a legal issue. Is it a public use or not? And it's going to come down to a similar fact pattern like Panorama and like the Seaside Johnny's case. I mean, I'm going to be doing the same thing on the opposite side because we're claiming an exemption, saying essentially we're providing a public service and therefore we're tax exempt. So,
what was the activity that Panorama provides?
Well, Panorama is it was a public hangar, for anyone to go use the hangars. They were basically leasing hangar space out to the public.
Well, so if Westchester County were to lease out the space, presumably you might have an argument. But if a private operator comes in to lease out the space, what's the goal of the private operator coming in?
Well, because essentially the county didn't want to do it, so they outsourced it to a private.
So why would the private operator do it? What is the intent of the private operator? To lose money?
To make money.
Okay, well, it's a for-profit.
Well, but Joe, Seaside Johnny's makes money too.
It's not a for-profit entity when it operates. When it leases out Seaside Johnny's, it doesn't. It's not a. It's a. The Rytown Park's not a for-profit entity.
Hold on, but Seaside Johnny's is. The issue isn't making money because every vendor at Playland, we hope, makes money. That's why they're there. And they're leasing space on a public parkland. So the issue isn't so much making money. The issue is, are you providing a public service? Is it a public...
What is define public service for?
Well, that's a very good question, and this is exactly what the courts will do, is to define how public is this. Is this an entity that only certain people can lease to, and they have, let's say they locked up all the hangar space with two companies that were clients of this with the signature flight. That might mean, hey, it's not public because it's really limited to these two companies. On the other hand, if Billy and Michelle and you and David and Mitch have your planes, your private planes, and you guys are coming off the street saying, I need some hangar space, and they said, fine, come on in, then that would be perceived, I think, as a little more public. So it's a fact-based inquiry, and it's going to come down to how is this facility utilized. And that's really very critical, which is why we're getting, Mitchell was very good today in that he insisted on floor plans because we need to see exactly how much space is there and how much is being used for the public, and if any of it's not being used for the public.
And what about in the lease itself? In the lease? Yeah, because I think in the case of Rice City versus both Seaside Johnny's and Tiki Bar, I think in the Tiki Bar lease, there was some provision that Seaside Johnny's was on the hook for the tax, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, in this lease with the county, I think there's a similar provision that if there's taxes, they are responsible. But there's also a provision in the lease that says they're not supposed to challenge an exemption. Now, I've reached out to the county attorney's office, and they've not been terribly responsive to see if they would, in fact, enforce that. So far, it appears not.
All right, so you're telling me there's an express prohibition?
Well, there is a paragraph in there that references whether or not they can challenge an exemption. I wouldn't say it's a prohibition per se, but it's well, I don't have it in front of me, but it's a little awkward. Is that a fair assessment, Mitch?
That's a fair statement.
I don't have it with me, Joe, and I'll certainly share it with you. But we've agreed that that's an issue, and that in fact The problem for us is that we are not a party to the lease, so we can't necessarily enforce it, because the county, as the landlord, should enforce that. As I said, the county hasn't been very responsive to me, so I suspect they're not.
Who in the county is responsible? Who are we trying to get in touch with?
The county attorney's office. Well, I've been in touch with them. It's not that I haven't been in touch with them, but my point is that they have not written a letter to the tenant saying, "Hey, you can't do this." Let me put it that way.
In keeping with Ragtown's aggressive defense of the taxpayer, and in keeping with Ragtown's view that we need to do everything we can to support the taxpayer. And since we have good relations with the county government, would you just copy me on an email you sent? Have we sent an email?
No. I made a phone call. I called, and I sent the letter. I'm sorry, I sent the letter and I made a phone call. Yeah.
Would you send an email to him first thing tomorrow? You copy to me, and we will get a response.
Sure.
And we will get an answer by Thursday.
Yeah,
we want to be aggressive in our defense of the
No,
we're not going to let any entity of government be lackadaisical, and we're going to hold every entity in government to account and take that same, aggressive approach to try and defend every tax dollar.
Yeah, no, we have an understanding, and I think counsel for the plaintiff does as well, that we're going to vigorously defend, our position on this. There is, some exposure that could be significant, and Mitch, alerted me to this early on when they first came in, and they've been very professional and very forthcoming with information from the beginning, as they also recognize this is a significant cert for us with significant exposure in the Rybrook and Blindbrook area. So we're going to fight it, but we do need to retain Mark.
Let's get the county on side. I don't want to hear that the county hasn't got back to us.
Again, I'm not saying they haven't gotten back to us. What I'm saying is they haven't taken the position that they cannot file a cert. That's what I'm saying. It's not that they haven't gotten back to us. I've talked to Carol Arcuri, who you may recall was also the attorney I'm working with on Seaside Johnny's. And she sent it off to Jim Robertson, who does contract compliance in the county attorney's office. So, they're very much aware of this, but they never responded officially to my letter. And as I said, in all due respect to my friends at the county, I think they're happy to be collecting the rent on this lease, and I just don't think they want to rock the boat. That's my take on it. They don't see it as their problem. You know what I'm saying? It's they're going to get.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, obviously, the town of Rice is going to defend vigorously Blindbrook and Village Rybrook, and we're not going to let the county off the hook.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. No, I wasn't going to let them off the hook either, but I'm just saying that we're at the very early stages of this. So, this is the very beginning. The very beginning of discovery. It's the very beginning of the whole process.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Mitchell, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. The tax receiver is not here.
Well, hold on, sorry, one second. Paul, I'm sorry. Can we vote on these things or not?
No.
You're gonna wait for David. He's here in about 6 minutes. He said 8:30 he'd be here. So in about 6 minutes he'll walk in the door, and we're gonna vote on everything.
Okay, Town Attorney Noto, any report that we should know?
Other than I just gave you the signature flight report.
Right.
The in-rems, as you know, the redemption dates is December 31st. We've gotten a few payments, and I've gotten this week about 3 or 4 requests for payoffs. So I do anticipate that we'll get I hope 4 or 5 more payments before the end of the year. However, I am a little surprised that there are still a number of them outstanding that have not been paid yet. Some of them are residential, so I am a little surprised about that, and I haven't heard from them. They haven't called me and said, I'm going to pay, on the 2nd or the 3rd. So I think unless things change radically in the next 10 days, we could end up with a few more properties next year.
How many are we talking about?
Well, there's a list here of properties, and there's about there's about 20 not paid, but I think 7 or 8 of them all belong to the same owner. This Joseph Canavo.
There's 22. There's 22 on the list that we're looking at. So, and that there's a little $1.1 million in back taxes on those 22 properties.
Right. I have received indications on two of the big ones, that would be on Fox Island and Peter Hogwat, that they were going to make these payments before the 31st. There's a couple of other ones where there's some litigation unrelated to us, and then, like I said, the other ones are this Joe and Rose Canavo. They seem to own quite a few. Their attorney had contacted me and said they were going to pay, but I'm not aware they have paid.
So what happens after December 31?
Well, what happened, if they don't pay, then in January I make a motion to the court to have title transferred to the town, seeking a judgment in favor of the town, and then we prepare, the judgments are granted, and then we prepare a deed from the tax receiver to you, and then we own the properties, and then in the spring we put them on for auction.
All right, can we make it, I want to make absolutely clear to the public at home that we have no intent to take these properties over. That is our least good, welcome solution. We much prefer that the property stay in the hands of the current owners. First point. Second point, can we make a concerted effort in Mr. Mecca's office to contact these people and let them know the severity of the situation?
Yeah, we can certainly ask them.
Like I said, we're down to 7 or 8 properties. If we can make an extra effort to get in touch with them this week and let them know the severity of the situation, we'd hate for them to lose these properties.
Yes, we can certainly do that.
Okay. Thank you. How many properties, Bishop or Dave, can you put on January 1, would you give us a sense of how many properties we currently have, and then whatever ones will be taken over here, and for the next board meeting, Dave, can you with Mr. Nawani come up with a proposal of how we get rid of the properties that we do have for the next meeting, please?
Is it six properties, Dave?
No, there's 22 on the list. That's Schedule C.
Yeah, but that's 20, those are 22 that come up January 1st. We have existing inventory of 6? 4.
Yeah.
Okay. So the existing inventory, Joe, is 4, and whatever comes of this will be added to those 4.
Exactly. So it sounds like we're going to have a few more properties. That's how I'd like to have a proposal and how we unwind those properties for the next town board meeting. Mr. Burns, would you take control of that, please?
Sure.
Okay, and that being said, there's one thing that I see is that there's from the 4 that's there, there's still there's another property still on Fox Island Road, so maybe it's 2 properties on Fox Island Road that may end up being together. So, all right, I'm sorry, Hope. Go ahead.
All right, referring to the tax receiver, since he's not here tonight. He's been at work, but he wasn't feeling well tonight. I just want to remind everyone that the second installment of the Village of Portchester tax is due by December 31st, and the second half of all the school taxes for Rhinebeck, Portchester, and Blindbrook School District could be paid anytime from now until the end of January. And it's very important that it's received by the end of January because it goes straight to 10%. So I'm sure if Mr. Mecca was here that he would have announced that.
You're right, Nick.
Do they send another bill for that?
Yes, they send out reminders for that. But a few people have been calling for reminders because they like to get that in for the income tax year. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry, thank you, Council President. Before we let the town attorney off the hook, our Attorney Noto, as you know, since we're talking about today about Certioraris, as you know, we've tried for 2 years now to get a new Certioraris law passed. In the first year, we didn't get any progress. The second year, we got a watered-down law passed in the Assembly, but that didn't get put through the Senate. Can you tell me, this is the top priority, obviously, the town attorney's office. Can Can you tell the public at home what our strategy is going to be to get this law passed for this year, this go around?
Well, I think based on your extensive networking in the state senate last year, Mr. Supervisor, we have a newfound enthusiasm on the Senate side of the aisle. So I think that even though there's a new session starting up in January, I think that Assemblyman Latimer will be able to pick up, where we left off.